All right, so part two, we're starting with activity 5. We just finished the principle 3, thinking at the margin. So thinking at the margin with your time can change your life because there's costs and benefits to time. Time is very valuable. So in activity box 5, there is a chart. And in that chart, you're going to think at the margin regarding how you spend your time after school. So it's in your box, you've got the first hour, the second hour after school, the third hour after school, and the fourth hour after school. And then it asks you to list your options. So what is your option for your first hour? The second option for the third, and the third option, and the fourth option. And then beside that, you've got the cost, the marginal cost, which is what you give up for the option you picked for the first hour, and then something you give up for the second hour, and so on. And then you'll have a chart, and the box in the chart, a column, that's for the benefits, so the marginal benefit of making that option or doing that option. So you're going to fill out that chart for the first through fourth hour of how you spend your time after school. Then you'll just write one sentence about how should you spend your limited hours after school. So the chart is what you do after school. And then in the sentence, you're going to discuss what you should do with your limited hours after school. Pause the video to do that. Then we'll move on to the next principle, which is principle number 4. Incentives matter. What is an incentive? It's something that motivates a person to act in a certain way. Remember, you're writing the red. So, for example, your parents or your guardians offer to pay you $50 for every A you get this semester. The money is an incentive to work hard in your classes. So why do incentives matter? Well, incentives motivate our behavior whether we realize it or not. They motivate our behavior. So in general, people respond to incentives in predictable ways. So next is you'll have a box there for activity 6. So recognizing and using incentives is a powerful tool to understanding human behavior. So you have a scenario. You need tutoring for economics class. You know your friend Andrea could help you, but she needs an incentive. So in activity box 6, you're going to brainstorm 5 incentives you could give Andrea to tutor you. 5 incentives you could give Andrea to tutor you. And then you're going to write at least one complete sentence about what incentives do people or authority figures in your life use to influence how you act. So write at least one sentence about incentives you have in your life. Principle 5 is trade-off makes people better off. What is trade? It's a voluntary exchange of goods. For example, you trade 10 cents for a pencil. How does trade make people better off? We trade because it's inefficient to make everything we need. We can't possibly make everything we need. So we trade to be able to get the things that we need. So for example, You specialize in making pencil pouches. Someone else specializes in making pencils. You trade each other for what you need, and everyone is better off in that example. So trade allows certain people or countries to specialize and then trade for what they need or want. So for activity 7, in your future career, you will specialize in helping create a good or service and then trade, probably money, for what you can't or won't be able to produce yourself. So in the activity 7 box, you're going to record the good or service, so the good being the product. You're going to record the good or service you'll likely contribute to creating. So it's kind of your goal of what you would want to do after school, your idea of what you may want your career to be after school. And you're going to write down the good or service that you'll likely be contributing to the creation, to creating it. So this says let's write down 10 things, but how about we write down 5 things you'll trade to obtain. So what are 5 things that you will have to trade for, probably money, to be able to have that you can't or won't be able to make yourself? And then you'll write a sentence here for how will trading for goods and services make you better off? So one sentence, how will that make you better off? All right, next principle, principle 6, markets facilitate trade. What is a market? A space where buyers and sellers trade, which is to do business. How do markets facilitate trade? In a marketplace with limited government intervention, buyers and sellers are free to conduct trade, which is what we have in the United States, the free market. That's where it allows buyers and sellers are free to conduct trade on their own without the interference of the government. So in this type of marketplace, the buying and selling of goods or services is naturally efficient. Adam Smith described the efficiency of free markets as the invisible hand guiding buyers and sellers. So it guides buyers and sellers because it's naturally efficient, because people are allowed to conduct trade in a free way. So for activity 8, you benefit from markets facilitating trade every day. All of us do. Everyone benefits from markets facilitating trade. So in the activity 8 box, you're going to record 10 items. So you're going to write down 10 items you or your parents or guardians buy every month. That shouldn't be hard to do. Think of 10 things you or whoever you live with buy every month. Where were they produced? You don't have to specifically say a country. You can list a factory or a restaurant or whatever it is that you choose to write down for your 10 items. Why does the store or business sell these goods or services? What's their motivation for doing so? And then you're going to write at least one sentence about how you benefit from market facilitating trade. So how do you benefit from the markets facilitating the trade every day? All right, our last principle, principle 7, future consequences matter. Why do future consequences matter? When we make decisions, the effects or consequences are far-reaching. A choice we make today may impact us or other people in the long run. So for activity 9, our last activity for these notes, future consequences should be considered when making a decision. You want to think about the consequences every time you make a decision. So you're going to have a scenario here. You decide to spend your entire paycheck on an expensive concert tickets instead of a cheap car. Let's say in this scenario, you don't have a car and you need one. So in the activity 9 box, you're going to record or write at least 5 future consequences of that decision. And then you're going to write at least one sentence here about how do future consequences impact your life. How do the future consequences impact your life? After you complete the activity 9 box, you're done with these notes, and you will please submit all of your completed guided notes to the appropriate module on Canvas.